Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to the best of 30 Days of Sketches by Christie's Beautiful Life. Yeah, this month is the 30 voted best sketches on the last 9 rounds. And this is a sketch we're using today, and it's by Susan Stringfellow of Sketch Savvy. And super cute. Lots of little scraps you could use, and I did use some scraps. And I also want to remind everybody that I create to inspire. Please feel free to scrap lift anything I share. So if there's an idea on here that's mine that don't exactly go with the sketch, you're welcome to scrap lift it at any time. And that is the way most people feel. I'm going to use this die set here. Most of them's already done. There was one partially done, and I'm going to use it and the others. I'm going to use all of them. I don't know what I'm saying there. And I'm showing another die that I'm using some other stuff. And the collection I'm using is Cool Kid. And I only had a 6x6 paper pad to start with. So that one's a pretty good one to use when you're going to need a lot of scraps. I don't feel near as guilty if I do end up cutting into a full-size sheet because it's only a 6x6. But mostly I'm using those little strips at the top of the paper pad. I am doing just a little bit of punch art, and then I'm going to do some paper piecing too. I used my middle-size oval from Creative Memories and cut a partial circle, oval, not circle. And then I used the red one, the cutter, and then I used the green cutter for the second one and made it a little bit darker. Now I use that cross punch, and I'm just rounding off the top instead of it having the top of the cross. And I'm going to lay it on the front window of my car. I don't know what else to call it. I guess it's a front window. When I get done with these, when I did the sample, I thought, man, that reminds me of those cars over in Europe that have the checks on it. Only I'm not going to have no checks on mine. I think they're police cars, but they may be taxis. I don't know. I just remember seeing them, and this reminds me of it. I am punching out places for the wheels, and I made one bigger and one smaller. Just because, as you see in the photo, those are my two great nephews and photos. I think there's only one photo. And they're my great nephews, though. There's two of them. And they had a cozy coop there. You don't see it in the photo, but there was one. So I thought, well, I'm going to make it kind of rounded like the cozy coop. And like I said, I made the tires bigger in the back just because I wanted to do it. But they do look kind of funny by the time I get done with it. I should have done like I always do and stand it up. I didn't do that this time. I just played. But I punched out the fender wells with my circle punches there so I could ink them, and you could maybe see a little bit of it. But then I decided to put a bumper on, which I did on the first one too, and I almost forgot to do it on this one. But it's gonna just go all the way down instead of just a bumper, because I started to just have it kind of sticking out in the front and the back. I decided to have it go all the way down, and then I'm going to lay the tires right on top of it. But you can still see the inking for the fender wells and tell that, they are cut out there. I, there's little tiny star punch. I don't know if I remember to show it or not, but I put it on the side as a decal, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done with my car. I do have another one that I did as a sample, and it is going to go ahead and go on my layout. And this is one of the signs, and I laid the cutout part, the negative part, down on top of the other part so that I could get the placement of these better. Kind of like a template, and I'm just going to glue them in and put them down and then pull that part back off. But my sign die set is by Quick Cuts. And I've had it a long time and I really like it. I usually cut out a bunch when I cut them out so I don't have to keep cutting them. But I think I might have to cut some because I didn't have even a whole set when I got done with this. Um, this die set, Impression Obsession, I think is what it is. But it has all the parts. And I went ahead and cut out the very front end of the truck and the very back end using some scraps of silver. That's why I have cut part of that off because it's not going to fit there very well, but it's going to make the bumper and I guess the headlights and tail lights or something. It makes something silver sticking out there because I cut the red parts off. And oh, and I also cut out the door extra, and then I fussy cut around the door itself so that I could make the door look a little bit more dimensional. It does have an embossed place on this that helped me a lot making the door, but I wanted to show up a little bit more. And then I cut just a little bit of that rail on the back out in silver so I could have the silver piece to use as a door handle. And then I had to cut it down because it's still too big. But then I wanted the railing to be wood grain, so I used wood grain for it. And I used some that was kind of like the cartoon looking kind instead of the natural looking kind, and I liked that pretty good. I It has tiny wheels and it don't have one bigger than the other. So I'm putting the wheels on there. And I did have to put some red cardstock behind them just to help hold them in place. It's made for cards. And I did buy it for cards several years ago. And for my, more masculine cards. But I like using it on scrapbook pages too, of course. And there's my photo, and they are my two great nephews, and they're not brothers, they're cousins. And they were playing, and I was over there watching them. And I thought, oh, I am so glad I did not miss this photo. It was just so cute. But I'm going to start putting my strips together. Like I said, most of them are well, I guess you'd call them branding strips normally, but they're at the top of the little paper pad. And this is only one-sided, so I guess a decorative strip. And that's what they are. And then there was one piece of scrap that had a bunch of words on it, so I decided to cut it down and use it too. And then that kind of checkered looking one that's not, oh, they're tiny, tiny triangles. That's what it is. I went ahead and used my scrap and ended up cutting some more out, forgetting I planned on using it later behind the photo. But I make do with what I have instead. But I did fishtail them, well, except for the words. I didn't fishtail the words. And I also pulled out my old Stampin' Up punch, and it has 3 arrows on there. And I am going to use, well, all three, but I'm going to use more of the smallest one than I am the rest. Sketch, it shows, well, the little strips are like in clusters of 3, and then it has stitching between them all the way down. I'm using my stapler, my 10-volt stapler, and I'm going to throw a staple or 2 or 3. I think one might even have 4 staples in it, but I'm going to put staples instead of having the stitches. And my clusters might be a little bit bigger and have more strips in them too. Since this collection has quite a bit of black in it, I decided to pull the black cardstock out, and that's what I use for my arrows. And I'm also going to do some layering with it. And while I was putting all these together and looking at them and adding the black to each one, I got to thinking, and so you will see me add uh, a base layer of black behind the layout itself, behind the base page, and frame it. Just add a little more black to it. Yeah, like it didn't have enough. Yeah, I had a little bit more, but I really liked it. Even though the original don't have it, I really liked it, so it went on there. And my base paper there, it is cardstock. I think it's called frosted teal. And it don't look frosted to me. It kind of looks like it's almost a light aqua. But it's the cardstock that I have, I gutted it so that I could have that black to use for other things. And yeah, I think it needed that. I was considering doing the doodling all around the outside, but like I said, while I was putting those together, I kept thinking about what do I want to do next, and this is what I ended up doing. And I did consider doing the stitching for a little while. Not very long, but for a little while. I don't mind stitching, but when it's a whole bunch of things like that, I think a sewing machine would work a lot better. I really thought I was going to do some fussy cutting out of that one page, cut like the robot out, and a couple other things. But I pulled out so much stuff I really didn't have room for them, so they didn't get cut out. The first paper I put behind the photo, it's, well, it's a ledger looking paper. And, well, I think, no, it's the second one. That ledger looking one is the one I really like. So I wanted to make sure I used it. Of course, it's green, so that might be part of the reason I like it so much. But I am going to do a bit of gutting on my paper because, like that green one especially, it was just too pretty not to gut and keep part of it. And this is the piece that I had planned to use. You can see it laying over there on the side by the glue bottle. Yeah, I forgot that I had a plan to use on my layering. So I had to find a scrap that would work. And this one, I just cut it in half and I'm tucking it behind there. It would have been bigger though if I hadn't kept cutting into it. But while I'm trying to decide what to add and lay more things on my layout, oh, I'm going to do a circle and it's going to be layered too. But while I'm doing all that, I want to mention that down there below is everybody else that is doing the best of the 30 days of sketches by Christie's Beautiful Life. Now, not everybody will be doing it every day, but they'll be doing it the days they can. However, there is always some that will do it every day. And all you have to do is click on their links to find them. And if you subscribe, they'll be in your feed and you won't even have to click on the links. You can just go down your feed and they'll all be right there every morning that they post one. You'll have them nice and handy. So lots of inspiration to be found down in the little description box. Here's where I pull out my other signs and I'm trying to decide which to put where. I put that red there and then I thought, no, my red truck's right there. I don't really want it right there in the same area. It's going to be really close to it though, because it's going to go down by the yellow car. And I look at that blue one, I thought, oh, that just blends in too much. I'm not going to put it there. So I thought about putting it on top of one of the clusters. That didn't work. So then I planned on putting it by the photo. I thought that works pretty good. But I'll end up pulling everything off for some reason. I mean, it's laid over the side or whatever. And then when I go to do the layout, I'm going to forget and it's not going to go there. And I did not even notice it till I was editing the video. I've had this collection a few years. I got it off of Peachy Cheap. That's why I don't have no 12 by 12 paper. And I've used it for quite a few layouts, surprisingly. But I've never used those silver stars. And I thought, I am going to use them today. I'm going to put some on the clusters over there at the left. So I put them where they'd be right in my way practically. And I would see them and then they would end up on the layout. Now there's some stars in there that says like my boy and, you know, for an individual child, and there's two kids in the photos. So I couldn't use them, but I used the rest. I punched some circles out because I planned on raising up my circle. Well, after I got them punched out, I decided to raise up the yield sign instead. So I had to cut them down to make them fit. But yeah, I like the yield sign raised up instead. And oh, my little car, it's going to go, well, almost right there. It's going to go over to the left. But see, there I put that truck right there. Forgot all about it. Just stuck the truck right there. And yeah. Oh, well. It shows up halfway decently up there on top. But there's my little yellow car, and there is the blue one. And I have played trucks and cars with these kids. And the one on the left, the baby one, he's probably 4 when I was playing cars with him. And he had a circle, and we had to drive around in a circle. Well, I went the wrong way, and his daddy worked for NASCAR. And he says, no, 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 you're doing it wrong. To the left, to the left. Always remember to the left. So every time I think about playing cars with him, I think about to the left, to the left. And I have seen race car racing on the TV, but I never realized it was to the left, to the left, to the left till he pointed it out to me. My little pickup truck is looking just a little empty in the back, yeah, and you always want to add something there. At least I do. So I've fussy cut out of that 6x6 paper. Like I said, I don't mind when it's a 6x6 paper, cut right into it. And I cut the little puppy head out, and I am just going to put him in the back of the truck like he's looking up over the back. And I am getting a little bit close to getting done on here. I did put him on foam tape because the truck's on foam tape, and I wanted him closer to the edge of the truck and instead of farther back. And there's some plus signs and glitter little dots. And I'm just going to use the plus signs and put them in sets of 3 in 3 spots on my layout. And of course, I had to put glue behind them because these are definitely no longer sticky. Almost forgot my title, and it's just Don't Grow Up because, yeah, they're too big to one give the other one a kiss on the forehead now. But I just realized their mommies probably don't have this photo. I I think I need to make them each layout the next time I give them layouts, just for the fun of them having this little picture too. I was looking at my photo and thinking I'd like to put some sprinkles on there, but I wanted black. And I'm really leery about putting black on there sometimes because you don't know how often it gets out of control. Then I remembered if I used the teeny tiny brush, all I would get was teeny tiny little splatters. So that's what I ended up using, and I used Mr. Huey's Passport. And yeah, I've got little teeny tiny splatters. I learned that from Tim Holtz one time. I just never think of it, unfortunately, but I'm going to try real hard to remember it. But that's it. That's my layout. And I had fun making it. Loved the cute little sketch. And yeah, and there's my Don't Grow Up and the little car. Aren't they funny looking things? But I had fun making them. That's the important part. And if you leave a comment down there below, I'll try to get back with you if you like the video and hit a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. See the little doggy there? And yeah, it looked so cute there. He fit perfect. Of course, he's a little big, but he still fit perfect. But I hope y'all have a happy, scrappy week. Have fun on the hop, and hopefully you find new people to subscribe to and get lots and lots of inspiration. And try out some of these sketches. Don't forget about the Facebook group, 30 Days of Sketches by Christy's Beautiful Life. Have a happy, scrappy week. Bye.